Right, so in this vid, I thought I'm going to compare this sort of squeegee to using a mouse. So I use a mouse a lot for my other work, and it's a Magic Mouse, one of those Apple Magic Mouse, very lightweight, very small, compact, and easy to use. Other than when you're using it for extended periods of times, I get achy fingers, achy wrist, because this is how we're working, especially when we're pressing the buttons, right? So a better mouse, which I've tried to use, it didn't really work with my MacBook, is to use a mouse where it's like this. So your hand is constantly in a much more easier situation on long periods of time. So just like what I was told a month or so ago when I was at a window cleaning show, yeah, you shouldn't be working like this. Some guy was trying to teach me how to hold a squeegee. Yeah, you shouldn't be using the squeegee like this, and that's what you're telling everybody. And I said, no, I'm not telling anybody to do that. In fact, the opposite. I'm teaching people to work like this, with the thumb, when I'm using the accelerator, over the top of that ring bar and take out the rigidness. That's what I'm teaching. You've just made that up to try and make yourself look better than you are. So when it comes to using squeegees, most of the time when you're using these tools, after a while I realised that I was getting a bit of an achy sort of wrist, because I'm now very close to the glass, and I feel like I'm putting a lot more strain on my tendons and wrist and fingers, compared to, this is a modified handle. Anyone for the UK that hasn't tried one of these, I highly suggest you get one, because this will help your window cleaning so much more beneficial, because my stance is now completely changed from there to there, and it's a lot less forgiving when I'm working with a rigid handle. Now when I'm using the accelerator, again, it's more than likely going to be flat on most, in fact most normal circumstances, it's going to be in that kind of position, in a 10 degree. But most people do not need an accelerator for their handwork. Most people really need a simple standard handle. So if you've got one of these handles here, which is really bent over like a metal handle, these are very easy to put in a vise and bend back. Now you can do that, and that's what I do with these typical handles here, but what you can do is bend it far too quickly or far too much, and it will snap and it will break, because it's made of plastic, so it's a lot lighter than this as well. So you know, if you want one of these, you can contact me. I've got 60 or so handles like that I can off hand to people, but you can do it yourself. And if you got just standard metal handles here, and you like the weight, extra weight, you put it in a vise, bend it back, put a liquidator in, and it will make your window cleaning far more easier to work, especially over time, when you're using it hours and hours each and every day you're working. It just eases the tension in your wrists. So I would love to get a new mouse for my MacBook that isn't an Apple Mac, which doesn't, you know, the Apple Magic Mouse. I would love to be working like this, but every time I've went out and bought a different type of mouse that makes me work like this instead of like this, it doesn't really connect. It doesn't work very well with the MacBook. Maybe I need a wired one, because I'm getting these Bluetooth ones, and it just doesn't connect. Or it will connect, but the cursor just goes all over the place, and I can't control it. There's no control, so I have to always go back to Magic Mouse and just suffer the consequences of working like this instead of working like this. So I'll tell you, the only thing, this is another subject now, the only thing that really makes me feel like I'm a professional in my work is when I watch and I'm in the sort of location of other window cleaners. So for most of my time when I'm working as a window cleaner, I'm on my own and I'm just dealing normally with the customer, maybe a business or maybe a, you know, whatever type of job it is. Quite often I don't feel like I'm that appreciated. On the most part, I don't feel like I'm a true professional. I'm in a game where or this job is a game to me. I make it a game, but I'm in a job where I just don't feel like I'm a professional. I can't think like a proper tradesman, because anyone can do this job. And when I first started this job, I was just a nobody in terms of I just didn't know really what I was doing. I had a few tools and, you know, I tried my best, and I was really bad at my job. Although I want to try and be as good as I possibly can, just the general way of people talking to me and how they can fob me off and how they can pay me willy-nilly and just like that. I just feel like this. That's the way I feel as a window cleaner. But the real time that I feel like I'm a true professional at my job is when I'm working in an area with another window cleaner working. And today I was working in two areas where other snarling window cleaners were they weren't happy that I was walking past them going to my job. They were working longer, harder, slower, getting less results, using typical squeegees like this, both traditional window cleaners. And instead of them getting under my skin, I look at them and just smile and think, I'm not smiling at them, I'm laughing at them, because in my head they don't know what I'm thinking. Just if I'm smiling, they've got a less chance for them to be say something. They're just narcissists, yeah, just narcissists. But the less chance for them to get aggressive. They both weren't very happy, but just walk past, smile and carry on with my route where I was working. By the time I finished the job, I walked back up the hill and walked past the same window cleaner again. He was still working on the same job, working one-handed, working longer, harder, slower, getting less results, as do typical window cleaners. That's the typical window cleaning fashion. Very rarely do I watch other people's window cleaning videos, but when I do on YouTube, the only thing that really makes me happy as a window cleaner is I'm so glad I don't work like these clowns. Clowns, that's all I think of. I'm in a clown job. Most of the time I feel like I'm a clown. It's the way I'm treated by people. The only thing that makes me feel like I'm a true professional is when I watch other clowns working. They can work however they want, with whatever tools they want. That is the only time that I feel like I'm actually happy with what I do as a window cleaner. The rest of the time, I feel like I'm the underdog, because everybody else is like a professional. Yeah, I do treat this job as a game, but I just don't feel like I'm in a proper trade. And most people will think, Bob, you're talking absolute nonsense. This is a real job, but it just don't feel like it until I watch another window cleaner work, and I think, well, yeah, I'm really happy with what I do compared to them. That's the only thing that makes me feel like I'm a true professional. So, thanks for watching, and let me know your thoughts.